Now, have you ever thought about what you really have learned? Have you ever thought about how intelligent you are? Now, we know a lot of times, a lot of these things are measured by so many different academic standards that don't really look at everything. I often like to talk about the 7 different intelligences that people have, and academia only measures one of them. And so when you think about how we learn, why we learn, when we learn, and how intelligent every single individual is, it's pretty interesting to understand that many people aren't intelligent about intelligence, and maybe people haven't learned about learning. And this is why today I want to talk about what we should really come to see about what learning really is and what intelligence really is, and how we begin to actually see an individual who has learned versus an individual who has not learned. And so I want you to really redefine your thinking. Sometimes you think about how all of the experiences in life and all the things we have come across, and you think about how all those things have affected us, and which one of those things did we learn from, and which one of those things did we not learn from? How do we know if we really learned anything when we sit through information, when we sit through, courses, classes, programs? Did we learn? Well, one thing that I want to do is first describe what learning is not. Now, let's go to my whiteboard for a minute. So if you look at a situation where the same circumstance or condition basically leads to the same response. So when the same circumstance or condition leads to the same response, right? There's not been any sense of learning, right? So this is not learning. When you have the same circumstance or condition and the same response. Learning only happens when under the same circumstance or condition, it actually leads to a different or new response. Well, this change in response really denotes learning. So when you teach someone something, when you try to show someone something through education, through example, whatever you use, the only way to know if something has actually been learned is when there's a same condition, a same circumstance, and there's a new response. There's a different response. My change in response is a result of my learning. Otherwise, I'm going to have learning, I have a habit, or I have something that I've always done, and I'm just doing the same thing. Well, learning to take place, then whether that's information, the next time I hear a question about a specific thing, my response is different because now I learned. Or whether it's a situation in which something happens and I responded one way and it caused me problems. And now when this condition comes up, I respond a different way and it causes me to prevent those problems. Why? I learned. I learned something. Sometimes I learned from experience, right? We often say. So I want you to think about this, right? So let me show you an example here. So imagine we're at a situation and let's say you're here and you're trying to figure this out, and it's a game of yes or no. Okay. Now, when we think about that, if I begin to just simply say, I'm going to give you some numbers here, right? And I want you to say yes or no, right? So let's put our no's in red and our yeses in greens. And let's say that this was your response and you said no, 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 no. And you said yes, 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 right? Now, when you begin to look at this, and then finally, somebody comes and gives you some answers, and the answers look like this. Yes, 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 yes. And then we see the no's. So now you understand and you see someone gave you some answers to this, right? Now, let's keep this going. And let's say they gave you some new numbers now, right? And we're going to do 25, 26. Actually, let's do this. 26, 27, 28. And let's throw some other ones in here. 32, 42, 45, 55, 79, right? And this time you said, okay, I learned from the last time. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to say yes, 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 and yes. And I'm going to say no, 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 no. So similar pattern. So then you get the information back and the answers. And you find out the answers are no, 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 and yes, 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 yes. And now you're scratching your head and saying, what is going on here? What in the world? And you're trying to figure out what's going on. Well, there's actually a pattern here, if you can recognize it. The pattern here, if you notice, is that odd numbers are yes, and even numbers are no. That's the pattern. So once you kind of break the pattern, right, you understand what is going on, why this yes is a yes and why this is a no, you start understanding what's going on, right? You start trying to find out what's actually happening here. Now, so when you think about this, now I want you to consider, now, when we think about learning, what happens is once I've actually learned this, you could bring up any number now, right? You could say 50, and I know that would be a no. I could say 53. I could say 93, and you know those would be yeses, right? So the key is, given the same circumstance, which is if you show me an odd number, I have learned to say yes. If you show me an even number, I have learned to say no. So, what I want you to see is when there is a circumstance and I go through something, right? I go through an experience. This is what leads to the goal of saying that I have learned. Because given the same circumstance, I actually now have a new response because I've learned something. Now, here's what I want you to see. Let's show it this way. So when we think about that circumstance, to learning, the distance between these 2 points, right, is intelligence. What that means is intelligence has to do with the speed at which I can learn, right? Because once I've been shown a circumstance and getting results, some people are stuck trying to understand when the same situation comes, what is the thing I'm supposed to see? What is the thing I'm supposed to do? Intelligence is the ability to shorten the gap between the circumstance that has happened and my ability to see the pattern and get to the learning. So some people might take a long time to understand that odd and even situation and to quickly adapt. And some might take a shorter period of time. The shorter period of time would show a level of intelligence. So what do we want to do? We want to be able to quickly make sure we're able to learn so that when the same circumstance comes, we're able to have a new behavior, a new result, a new outcome, a new reaction because we get it, right? So if something happens in my life and I keep in the same situation doing this, making the same decision, which leads to the same result, I haven't learned, right? If I keep doing this negative behavior that always leads to this negative outcome, I still haven't learned. It's when the same circumstance comes up and I do something different to get a different outcome. It's proof that I've learned. And then it's the speed at which I'm willing to, the speed at which I'm able to learn that shows how intelligent I am. And the more intelligent I am, the quicker I'm going to absorb and pick up learning and get information because I'm constantly moving quicker than everyone else because I'm always trying to quickly get to the learning. I want to shorten the gap between those similar circumstances, allowing me to see what I should do different, what I should understand, what I should, where I should go, how I should do it. And that is causing me to absorb more and grow more, which then is increasing my ability to be able to be effective and have more availability of options to me to be able to move and maneuver into success in so many different ways because I've continually learned and I've allowed intelligence to accelerate my learning. And so this is what we want to do. This is what's important, and all of us can do it. I don't care what it is because there's something that you want to learn. There's something that you're into. There's something that you like. And when you get involved and when you get in your space, when you find your niche, you're able to quickly understand the patterns. You're able to quickly understand and get to the learning. And through that, you become more intelligent. You begin to shorten that gap. It doesn't take as long to make the connection. Because of that, you start to grow bountifully in that particular thing. So find your area, find your thing, increase your learning, and use intelligence to get there faster. Every one of us is intelligent. So it's not if you're intelligent, it's how you're intelligent. I'm Michael E. Parker. Until next time, be the CEO of your mind and learn everything you need to get to the life that you deserve. I'll see you next time.